slow. Progress comes with a heavy price.
Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Ducks Gaming, and what's probably going to be the only video on the channel for this PoE 2 update. I had stopped playing PoE 2 in the last update because I just didn't find the game particularly fun, endgame was really stale, and build options, unless you wanted to build in a couple of different archetypes, they were a bit limited. I saw the patch notes, and in honesty I didn't hold out much hope for the update, but I did like the look of the new Huntress, I liked the look of the playstyle, so I thought I would give it a go. Now this isn't just going to be a video bashing a game, I'll try and explain why I don't like the game and what I think's wrong with it and try and be at least a little bit constructive. And I'll go through my character that I've built that's just sort of into the middle of Act 5 at the moment. But in all honesty, I'm not sure I'm going to finish the campaign as I'm just not having any fun. So let's start with the character. I'll go with how I tried to set it up and the issues that I've come across. So the first issue that I'm sure everyone came across straight away with Huntress is the skills do no damage. Whirling Slash and Tornado are a bit of a pain to set up, and unless you get lucky and all your tornadoes hit, it doesn't do any damage. Whirling Slash does literally 0 damage unless you power it up with elements. Both these skills don't really move enemy health bars unless you get lucky. You're better off just using default attack, which just feels really bad. You want to be excited about picking up gems, not having to use default attack to kill bosses. The skill that got me through the bosses in Act 1 and 2 was the bleed skill Rake. You put stomping ground on that and martial tempo, take as much strength as you can, and it does pretty decent damage. But I didn't really have an interest in playing a bleed build. I wanted to play a range stroke melee elemental attack build. So once I unlocked Primal Strikes, I decided to try and build a pure lightning character. I used Lightning Spear for clear, which is actually pretty decent, and then Primal Strikes for single target once you've got a shock on an enemy because you get increased damage and you get some exposure. Now this worked pretty well, but shocking was pretty inconsistent on bosses. I put Herald of Thunder in to help with clear, and it doesn't feel terrible, but even with decent gear I can't one-shot a white pack, it's maybe 2 to 3 packs, but because Lightning Spear chains, you can kill, you know, a group of 6 or 7 enemies in a couple of range attacks, which feels pretty good. I did try the parry disengage stuff, but it just feels bad for the most part. A lot of bosses you can't parry their attacks. Sometimes when you've got things like Wind Dancer, that will kill the enemy so you can't then parry them, or your parry kills an enemy so you can't disengage. There's lots of things that work against parry. The main problem is, like I say, that bosses you can't parry a lot of their attacks, so you end up just standing there holding your shield like you're holding something else in your hand, hoping that you can parry their attack and then do a little bit of damage. I had no interest in playing that playstyle, so I've gone for almost a PoE 1 type setup with one skill for clear, a little bit of setup on bosses, and then another skill for single target. Now I know this is going to be suboptimal compared to other builds, but I didn't want to play bleed and I couldn't bring myself to play parry. It just take me forever to get through the campaign if every pack of mobs I've got to stand and wait for them to hit me. It's not fun, engaging, and just not something that I want to do. So all I've done for my character is literally not bothered with any defensive nodes on the tree. I think I've maybe got 2 evasion nodes because you are going to need all the help you can get, even though the skill tree is quite limited. So I've just taken attack damage, attack speed, and elemental damage and penetration everywhere. Now the main problem I've come across building my character, which I'm sure everyone has come across, is drops, if anything, even worse than they were before, which was quite difficult. I have had maybe 6 exalts, 7 exalts drop, but that's in 5.5 acts. That's enough to craft 2 items. I've had more regals, but then regals aren't a lot of good without exalts. And you've got the issue that exalts might have value if you ever get to end game, so you don't want to spend them in Act 1 on an item that might give you a bit more damage. Essentially, if you ID or gamble a decent weapon, you're probably not going to have an awful time. If you are unlucky and get trash weapons, the game's going to feel dreadful pretty much regardless what build you play. So for what it's worth, I've put a POB in the video description, but as I say, I'm only like about level 50. But this has worked quite well. Once you get a weapon with some damage on it, the combo actually works well enough. Bosses go down in like probably 15 seconds. The at boss is obviously a little bit longer, and clears pretty decent. So it works. It's maybe slightly more fun than the parry style, but it's still not engaging because you know nothing of value is going to drop. So that's kind of it for the character because, like I say, it's not a build guide. The character's not finished. This is just what I've done to try and slog my way through the campaign. So let's go and talk about my issues with the game a bit more succinctly. So number 1, skills are just way too weak. They need buffing for some parts at least 100%. There's something fundamentally wrong with an ARPG when default attack is the best skill for the first act. I should be excited to unlock new skills, but instead I just test it, sigh, go back to default attack and hope that the next level of skills are a little bit better. I also feel that you shouldn't need good gear to dispatch of white packs in one hit. If white packs dropped rewards, I have no problem spending 10 seconds killing some normal enemies. But since they don't really drop anything, these should just be cannon fodder for you to get flask charges, to get buffs up. But it seems that every enemy in the game has to have some sort of difficulty and it just doesn't fit with any ARPG I've ever played. Number 2, pacing is so slow and it is boring. I struggled with weapons in the early act. It took me 9 to 10 hours to get through acts 1 to 3. That was obviously with some AFK time to get a drink, have a break. I'm not playing this game for 9 hours solid. So let's say 10 hours with, downtime and other stuff. I think that's a fair time for an average player who's not really used to the game and might know exactly what they're doing and know how their build's going to come together. And let's say maybe it's a couple of hours quicker for acts 3 to 6. So you're looking at maybe 18 hours of boring, slow, monotonous gameplay to get to end game. I would think an average player, we're talking like casual players, might play 8 hours a week. Are they going to come back every 3 months to play a game where it takes them 3 weeks to get through the campaign? No chance. At least with PoE 1, you can pretty easily reduce your time to easily under 8 hours. I don't think I could do that in PoE 2 because I don't know what they're going to add into the game. Are they going to keep changing the layouts? Are they going to weaken skills to stop players getting through quicker? People aren't going to come back every 3 months for that sort of experience. Number 3, where are these 100 new support gems that do anything? From all the ones I've looked at so far, they have got stupid requirements for them. So there's one that gives you more ailment effect, but only if you are affected by the same ailment that you affect enemies with. Who's going to go through that just to get a bit of extra ailment effect? It's the same as the skill tree. The skill tree is fundamentally terrible. Again, why do they have to have downsides on nodes? Why can't I just have 25% increased attack speed, 10% increased damage? Instead, it's 50% evasion if you've been hit recently, 20% more damage if you've parried a projectile attack recently. There's just so many situational nodes that you're never going to take. I do think removing life nodes was a massive mistake, and removing resistances was a huge mistake. I'm in Act 5, I've not sped through, I've picked up every rare item, I've ID'd it, I've used my crafting materials, and I am plus 9% cold resistance, plus 11% lightning, and plus about 60% fire. So I'm nowhere near res capped, and I've still got 2 lots of penalties to go. I've also done every optional quest to get resistances where I can. Now I've already touched on it a little bit, but changing layouts just seems like an absolute pointless exercise. My worry is that someone's been given this task of can you make it different to the first release so that people don't know what they're doing. And if this took dev time, this is an absolute waste of money and resources because no one wanted this at all. I can't imagine anyone who's played the game before thought, oh, this is cool, I don't know where I'm going now. It's just not fun. People want to know what they're doing in the campaign because realistically they want to get through it as quickly as possible if it's not their first time. And then last thing I'm going to touch on, which is easily the most important aspect, is that you get 0 rewards for doing anything in the game. I've now killed about 6 or 7 rogue exiles. Some of them had ridiculous mods that regen nearly their whole life in a split second. So some of them took me 30 seconds to a minute to track down after they ran away and kill. And every single time I got a full set of useless magic items. I've no idea how this rogue exile was doing so much damage against me with the junk items that dropped off of him. It's the same for strongboxes. You get a rare strongbox, they still take ages. There's now much more annoying effects like volatiles and stuff like that. You get nothing out of them. Essences, they're a bit tricky. You might use a life essence on a base that you've been saving to give you 8 life and you then send it to the vendor for a few gold. I'm hoping it gets better at endgame. I probably won't be there to experience it, but from what I've seen of other content creators, it doesn't get any better at endgame and loot is still basically non-existent. The whole point, for me anyway, of an ARPG is feeling powerful and getting loot. Getting excitement when you kill an enemy and seeing some nice loot drops, and that literally just doesn't exist. I can't imagine what it's like playing SSF. At least in trade I've got the option of just buying gear, but you do want to be able to at least craft or find some gear yourself rather than just, well, I've got exalts, so I'll go and buy some stuff on trade. One more thing I will touch on actually is I don't understand where the time has gone in GGG. If they're saying we are all backs to the wall, we are literally burning the candle at both ends to get this game out, there's no difference really from the last release to this one. There's a new class, there's a wisp that goes around that gives you no rewards, and there's some rogue exiles that give you no rewards. I don't understand where all this time has gone on the game, especially because we know Huntress was pretty much finished because it was going to be in the initial release. They've clearly not tested it because there was crashes from MTX, crashes from loads of things that if they just played through the game, put on their new MTX, they would crash as well. It wasn't like it was an uncommon occurrence. It was happening to pretty much everyone. Performance is dreadful again, lags all over the place, crashes. I gave up on day one. I just couldn't be arsed with going through 2 minutes of a game and then getting kicked out again, especially when that game was then unfun. I would love to see Jonathan and Mark actually play through a character on stream. I'd like them to give up a day of their work and go and both stream co-op if they want to, Huntress gameplay, and show us where the fun is. And if they can then finish that session and go, man, I really enjoyed that, I'm not sure I would believe them because I can't see anyone that would find the first few acts a fun experience. So yeah, QA seems to be non-existent, so I don't know what game they're testing or what build version they're testing, but it's definitely not this version that we've played. So the list could go on, but no one wants to watch a video of me just moaning. I have to accept this game isn't for me. If a POE 1 update ever comes out, I'll play it. For 2, 100% not my game. There's so many more better games out at the moment. And my main gripe, as per the title of the video, is that POE 1 is basically dying for this game that, in my opinion, is a bit of a monstrosity of an ARPG. Settlers was the most popular POE 1 league. It added loads of cool quality of life features. Everyone was having a blast. And if they would have kept their 3-month schedule for POE 1, they'd have a lot of happy players. Is POE 2 financially the right decision at the moment? Yes. In a year's time, who knows? But that's their decision. They choose what game they work on. I don't. I'm not going to say whether they should or shouldn't. That's nothing to do with me. But they have adamantly stated time and time again that POE 1 will not get looked at until POE 2 is in a good place. And it's not. And I can't see how it's going to be there. For me anyway, and for lots of other people. It might be they think it's in a great place and they'll start working on POE 1. But I would not expect a POE 1 league until at least July. I wouldn't be surprised if it got pushed back even more. And we don't know what sort of quality we're going to get there. So I am bummed out because I think POE 1 is a great game. I think it's way better than POE 2 at the minute in terms of fun factor. And that they're dying on this hill that we're not going to touch it until POE 2 is good. Might bite them in the ass, it might not. Might work out fine. But yeah, for me, not a game I'll be touching again. I might look at the next update, see if they've changed anything and jump back in. So no videos for me on PoE 2, just to let you guys know. Let me know how you're finding the game. Is it something you're enjoying? Are you finding the same frustrations I'm having? Am I just being overkill? Is there actually positive aspects to this launch? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and see you in the next one.